Anymore. It's become one of those days. Alright, let's move on to some video game news. Or some video game movie news, obviously. It's not a video game show, we're a movie show. But video game adaptations are being made, so gotta talk about those too. Gotta keep my video gamers happy, because I myself am a video gamer. So, anyway, let's move on before I just blabber on even more. The screenwriters behind the last 4 Saw films and Piranha 3D, which is a sequel to Piranha 3D. Oh, excuse me. See, this is what happens when you look away from your outline for 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. And also did touch-ups for Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. Will rewrite the movie adaptation of Sony's video game franchise God of War. The Hollywood Reporter says Patrick Melton and Marcus Disdain, have come aboard to the game-to-film project to revise an earlier draft by David Self, who also will executive produce the film along with Charles Roven. He's also directed. Charles Roven directed. He's one of the producers. Of The Dark Knight Rises. Universal Pictures will distribute the film, and for those unfamiliar with the source material, the God of War games centers on Spartan warrior demigod. Spartan warrior demigod named Kratos, who takes on mythology's beasts during his quest to free himself from the control of the gods. God of War is one of those popular video games that everybody plays and everybody loves. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean. The movie was actually, I remember when they announced the movie was going to get made, and that was like, I think that was 2007, maybe 2008, where they announced it. I mean, it may have been earlier, but yeah, I mean, this movie's been in work for a while, so it looks like they're finally getting on top of that. So for all you God of War fans who want to see a movie, it's coming, despite the writers. Top Crow comics series, the Top Crow comic series, The Darkness, which is also a video game series, which is the reason why I said it, but it's also a comic book. Is getting a big screen treatment. Sources say that Regency is nearing a deal, to obtain the feature films rights to the comic with producers David Halberman and Tom Lieberman. They did The Fighter and The Muppets. Also, Len Wiseman, who directed Total Recall, which comes out I believe next month. And creator of the Underworld series will also produce the film. And one of the creators, Top Crow's Matt Hawkins, will also be involved with the project, so they'll stick somewhat close to the source material. The comic, and also the video game, if you want to get into that, is based on the mythology. Is a mythology-dense comic, first appeared in 1996, and centers on the ageless power called the Darkness. The Force has been at war with its equal and opposites, the Angelus, since creation, and takes roots in male hosts. Awaken at the host's 21st birthday, the Darkness allows its host to create and control anything he desires, including sentinel beings. The current wielder of the Darkness is a former hitman for the mob who develops a slight control over the Force. He wrestles with his strong sets of morals and his carnal nature, trying to keep from wholly giving himself into the darkness. That's not to say that he doesn't do a fair amount of killing and evil doing in the meantime. The Darkness is a video game. I know there's 2 games. The Darkness 2 is actually based off the comic book series, from what I've heard. So if you're a Darkness fan out there you go. They're making a movie about the Darkness. And here's the last video game kind of news that we have for you guys. CBS Films has announced plans to adapt the recent sequel to Deus Ex Human Revolution, a strategic sci-fi action-adventure game which is set in 2027, when a multinational corporations have grown beyond the control of national governments. The film will closely follow the game's plot, revolving around ex-SWAT security specialists who must learn to embrace the high-tech prosthetics that replace much of his body in order to unravel a global conspiracy that involves an attack on a biotechnology firm tied to developing the human enhancements. Adrian Askrich, I don't know how to say his name, and Roy Lee produced and plan to work closely with developer Edis Montreal to get the adaptation right. Terry Press, the co-president of CBS Films, says as it is clear from the wild success of the game, Square Enix and Edis Montreal know how to exceed their audience's expectations by engineering incredible worlds. CBS Films, which is a relatively new company, they have done films like Extraordinary Measures, The Backup Plan, Faster, The Mechanic, Beastly, The Woman in Black, and they have upcoming movies later this year. 3 of them, The Words, which is a romance thriller, Seven Psychopaths, which is a black comedy, and Gambit, which is a crime comedy. CBS Films, here's my thing with this, and I was talking to a friend of mine. Oh, you actually know who he is. It's Alan Ray. He used to co-host a show with me. I already read the story, but he posted it on my Facebook. So, he was excited about it. He wanted to know more about the project, and I told him that CBS Films is a relatively new company, what I just told you guys. But also, if they indeed do get the rights, or they actually have the rights to do the film, but if they do the film, this will be probably CBS's film's most, I guess, heavy budget wise movie, because they haven't really done The Mechanic, Beastly, and Woman in Black, and Faster. Even though they've been Faster and The Mechanic mostly. They're kind of like these big like action movies that you would think of. They weren't made for that much. So I think if they do make the game, if they do make the movie out of the game, or when they make the movie out of the game, I think it will be their biggest budget-wise movie. But also, he said that since they are working with the company, was it Edix? Edis? Where is it? Edis Montreal. That Edis Montreal might get it right and they can help them out. Yeah, but in the end of the day, it's CBS's films to, how much money they get for the project. So, nonetheless, I think this is. I haven't really read any of the buzz surrounding this news item, because I know a lot of people are big fans of the game, and but I just haven't gotten that much buzz out of it. And people are very conflicted. People are always very conflicted when they bring a game to, the big screen, because they're afraid of messing it up. But, it just depends on the company. And CBS Films, I mean, again, I don't have that much faith in the movie, because it is CBS Films, and they're a relatively new company, so I don't know what to think about them. If it was like Warner Brothers or Universal or 20th Century Fox, I might have an opinion, but who knows what happens. So, let's do one more news item before we go to break. With the Hunger Games sequel Catching Fire set to roll before cameras in the not-too-distant future, a big name has been added to the cast. And it's actually a rumor that came out of, probably, was it last month, 2 months ago, maybe? According to the film's official Facebook page, Philip Seymour Hoffman will play Perlage Heavensby in the eager anticipated sequel. Without giving too much away about the character, he does play a very big role in the next two, well, I guess, books, and I guess the next 2 movies, or 3 movies, I should say, because Lionsgate is getting really greedy, and they're following the trend of breaking the last book of a book series into 2. Although there are only 3 books, the studio previously announced that they would split the trilogy into 4 movies, and of course now we'll be getting The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 in November 21st of 2014, and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 on November 20th of 2015. So that means they already have dates announced, so that means they have to get working on it. So there you go. Catching Fire opens next year in November. So there you go. So Philip Seymour Hoffman will be joining the Catching Fire, or the Hunger Games movies from this point. So that should be pretty interesting. So there you go. All right. So we're gonna take